public housing movie. So the thing is, I actually registered for this event, and I didn't get any acknowledgement of my ticket being received. So this is a common DSA tactic. And when I get there, right, will the people there have been informed, right, to not let me in, which is very possible. So they usually, what they do is they don't want to tell the people who are there to like not let me in, because that would, understandably lead to questions about what's going on. They might look at my work and actually start to ask, this just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, right? But so what they'll do is they'll usually remove me from the list of ticketed holders, and then from there, they'll hope that the people at the door will cancel me. But these events are not really meant to cancel people or keep people out. So, right, especially on a rainy day, it's possible a lot of people don't show up. So it's going to be, they'll probably let me in. And this is something that's happened before. So there's a lot of gatekeeping in this game right here. So one thing that I discussed earlier is, remember that Rat Pack happened under the Obama era, right? So the thing is that there's a new way for the groups to cash out on the people that were living in public housing. Now, I've been working on this issue for many years. I actually also work with the parents of Gavin Centrone, whose death at Reese House has caused the resignation of CEO and chair of NYCHA, Greg Russ. But I could tell you that out of my whole coalition, the longest incarcerated, state history, disabled, etc., right? Public housing regularly comes in last place when it comes in regards to making anything happen electorally. A lot of the people who are influential in the community keep asking, what do I get? What do I get? Right? Are you going to bring us free food? Are you going to, right, give me some money? All right, that's what they're used to. But anybody who's talking about really empowering themselves or ownership for themselves, and I can't blame the leadership there, because honestly, a lot of the people, I've gone door to door to every single door in Reese houses, and other developments as well too. But the thing is that after, even Fulton Chelsea, where people are facing imminent eviction, going to be on the streets. Even though they were facing imminent eviction, they were actually performed the worst. Eric Bottcher supported the demolition of Fulton Chelsea, won by the widest margin out of all city council candidates in the election for, I think, 22, maybe 23, something like that. So electorally, this community is not really able to engage, and this has just been proven. So the thing is that I have a lot of other groups that are also counting on my help, and to tell you the truth, if my group is sacrificed because certain groups are not being certain groups are taking up all the resources, can't support that. Yeah. So we're on the way right now. Just want to say, document what before I get in there, because it might be awkward if I start filming and stuff like that. So what am I going to say? I'm going to meet people and tell them about my history of public housing activism, which goes back to the Obama era. I'm one of the very few activists that has this pedigree. I'm going to talk about how the activism is controlled by one millionaire group or another. And once I get in there, I saw Natasha Florentino is actually attached to this. She also has attachment through Save Section 9. You can see on the flyer that I posted on my Instagram, which is actually located, which you can find by my DGL7.com link. You can see that, Justice for All and some other not-for-profits are actually throwing this event. One of the things that's interesting is that even though, these groups like Sunrise went with Chuck Park to fight against APAC or whatever, they actually, Sunrise, I just want to get this documented, they actually kicked me out of their group for actually, confronting the fact that Andrew Yang has no more Asian Americans in his whole entire group because of after he sold out the corporate campaign consultants after he only got 1% in Iowa. So the thing is that they want to make sure that the movement stays under control, and they want to make sure that certain people, like Asian Americans, do not get to break out from this control loop that where we get to be the bad guys. It's really sad. So, as a Korean, I'm resisting. As a Korean American whose parents survived a war, who myself was subjected to large amounts of violence and dysfunction due to the war that is not addressed by this country, and who is blackballed and gentrified out of the anti-war movement by celebrities and party leadership. These same people with all the money they collect. I would say that the most compromised activism cases are the anti-war movement, where they're making millions, and also this public housing, where once again they stand to make billions actually. Same with the anti-war movement. Each apartment in the public housing is worth about $1 million, and there's thousands of units. $1 million apartments is $1 billion, and there's what, 100? I think it's about like 180 developments at NYCHurch, so that's $180 billion. This money transfer is insane. So the astroturfing going on is extremely deep. And
this stop is 21st Street and 38th Avenue.
For Sunrise, right, and once again, I think Housing Justice for All is going to be there. I know the lady who's there. She was part of Save Section 9. But all the, you can see that I work with the longest wrongfully incarcerated men in history, like Otis Johnson. You can see I work with the disabled. We just did the disabilities debate for NY7. But you will see that nobody from public housing attended. That's because these not-for-profits that I'm going to today, right now, Housing Justice for All, etc., right? They deliberately are blackballing these events, deliberately trying to prevent public housing residents from interfacing with disabilities, the second largest minority voting bloc in the nation.
Please exit through the rear door.
So when I get there, they're going to tell all the residents there that I'm a right-wing troll. They're going to find a way to dehumanize and get them to all not pay attention to things that I'm saying. So I'm documenting everything. I'll actually leave the camera on for the first part, but then they'll be like, oh, you're filming us. And they're worried about retaliation. I'm being retaliated against. But notice that, right, remember that single men do not have an easy time getting into public housing. If you have a felony, you're not allowed in either. Notice I work with a lot of the wrongfully incarcerated who are not in public housing. So where does that leave the other portion, right? There's certain communities that are allowed to be thrown into the garbage. And I work with those communities specifically. So all the people that's erected and getting paid to take care of those communities, we're gonna go see them today. What's up? I am highly, okay. I don't recognize people in my chat, but that's typical, so I don't really believe that the traffic here is legit, but it is what it is.
This stop is 21st Street and 36th
We're passing about
Avenue.
Ravenswood houses right now. This is actually in my district. And I actually have the Ravenswood housing. Out of all of the ones that are in District 36, we got Ravenswood, we got Astoria, and we also got Queensbridge. And out of all, am I Filipino? No, I'm actually Korean American. But by the way, quick question: how did you find this channel? And oh, what's up, Little Frog? I recognize you, yeah. But the other Moshe A, how did you find this channel? I'm very curious. Maybe the algorithm or something. Please let me know, yeah, because I'm quite curious as to how people are. There's always this little rush of people that come in when I first go live, and then they kind of drop off. So I don't know if you're interested in public housing activism at all, but this is why I'm here today. One of the things that was also going on, I appreciate, what's his name, Marty Dolan, but just scrolling. Okay. Well, I have, just so you know, I have a playlist on my channel. It's called Public Housing Activism. You'll see me in DC. You'll see me with the Federal Monitor testifying about what's going on in public housing. You'll see me at City Hall. You'll see me in many places, but you'll notice that these same groups, these public housing activism groups, are deliberately blackballing me and trying to suppress my entire body of work. So there's also a video coming out with Dan Kreisman that's going to be coming out soon. An interview with him. I used to have the name of the lady from Justice for All. Actually, Christy, I think. Let me look up her name. Give me a second. I'm gonna look her up. Yeah, she may be there. I don't know. There's a lot of bougie people that get jobs, and they say they're doing the good work, so they basically just allow some oppressive things to happen. And would I say that there's a net positive? Maybe.
This stop
But
is
there's also
21st Street and
certain
38th
communities that
Avenue.
are over and over again thrown to the back of the line and over again never get justice. So some groups get help, some just don't. Funny misunderstanding you've had. Am I in an Uber? No, I'm actually in the bus. I'm in a public bus right here. I don't know if you guys can recognize the window here. This is like a pull tab. So if I pull this, it's gonna ring a bell. Public transportation, yeah. A lot of these not-for-profits also will have people that are driven to these events in Ubers and stuff. And, you know, for these little trappings of,
Broadway. Transfer
what's it
available
called,
to
privilege,
Please exit through the rear door.
they really believe they're trying to do the good work, but they are really just throwing other people in the garbage. No, it's okay. Just so you know, these same people that say that they're about helping people, they literally have blackballed me to the point of homelessness. That's fine. Once again, I work with the longest volunteer incarcerated man in New York State history. His name is Otis Johnson. You can look it up. You can see the town halls that it had in their name. The people that the astroturfing is very fierce in this realm. And average people don't care because it's not their problem. So unless you're someone who's also in the garbage like me, someone who's never going to be acknowledged because
This stop is 21st Street and Broadway.
then, you know, I really can't count on you to stay in the fight. So I appreciate y'all watching, but I've done this a long time and I know how this lines up. So thanks for watching. There's no reason for you to stay in this. People moving their seats, that's right. Sound like a crazy man. We're almost there, folks. Let's see, anything else I want to get out before I get to the event? Remember I said I saw Natasha Florentino is supposed to be there. She's been compiling movies for this group called Safe Section 9. And you'll notice that in the movie, right, it's all overweight black women that are actually featured as the recipients of help. And the helpers are a lot of affluent people in academia, right, who are,
Please exit through the rear
that's
door.
the system of help, right, that they don't want to acknowledge other poor people that's involved in activism, including the longest wrongfully incarcerated man in New York State history,
21st Street and 31st
to build a
Avenue.
coalition. These bougie, you know, they want to be the managers. So it's an easy job. They can show up to a desk and feel like they did the good work. All they got to do is, right, ignore the people that are being thrown in the
This stop
garbage.
is 21st Street and 31st Road.
All right, this is us. Justice for all. They love to use these names. You know, also shout out to my upcoming interview with Dan Kreitman. What the DSA does is, and it's very crafty, right? They take one set, actually the most marginalized group, and they put that person at the head. And they use them to actually control the rest of the group. And this person who's so marginalized is so thankful for the opportunity to actually be heard and listened to, that they will actually, they're used to being treated crappy, so they actually are very easily weaponized against the other groups using the tactics that they've suffered from for so long. So, you know, now the cool people want to talk to them. So it's very intoxicating. But those of us that are, you know, like, that's how the pretty people move up quick in DSA, right? Yeah? Okay? But the ugly people who've been thrown in the shitter again and again and again, we know better. So, anyways, we're headed towards 31st Street and, yeah, resettlement. You know, I said this actually in an earlier, another thing is that, just so you know, it's quite sad. A lot of women are actually weaponized against men in this particular environment. So the thing is that by making the millionaire at the top happy, right? Yeah, he can have someone who is. It's the same reason why they have a lot of women be the cashiers at the front of like the fast food restaurants, right? Because it's harder to, threaten a woman, right, without social repercussions. So the thing is that that's why they're manning the front. So, if something goes wrong at the register, right, then the man would come out and try to make things, a little bit smoother. So the thing is that at these social justice organizations, and women get the short end of the stick. I'm not going to say that if they weren't oppressed, they wouldn't go for this bait. But once again, right, the man with the power is going to give them a job. He's going to listen to their problems. And they haven't been listened to by other people. I'm not saying that the other people in the group, that the outsiders group wouldn't try to exploit them as well. So it's a dirty game, yeah? But don't fall for any of it, yeah? Don't fall for any of it. So we're headed right there. We're going to see what's up. And this is one of my specialties. This is one of the places where I actually have a very deep level and a long body of work in this particular realm. So even though I'm telling you that this community is actually the least productive, like electorally, in some ways, yeah, in the ways that count, it's actually a warning bell for like the rest of the communities that I work with to expose how these people operate. So we're almost there, folks. Thanks for tuning in. All right, I'm gonna go offline soon and check the directions here. Yeah. All right, peace.